We have not done that.
Hare Krishna, dear devotees, and with pranam, all glories to Srila Prabhupada. Please accept my humble obeisances. We are reading Sri Bhagavad Gita, chapter 13, and we have to read from verse 13 today, but we'll do Mangala Charan before that. Everybody, please recite these verses. Om Ajnanatimirandhasya
ज्ञानाञ्जनशलाकया
Chakshurumilitam
तस्मै
चक्षुरुन्मिलितं
श्रीगुरुवे
Tasmai
नमः।
Shri Gurave Namah
श्रीचैतन्यप्रभु विष्णुस्थापितं येन भूतले
स्थापितं
स्वयं
येन
रूपा कदा
भूतले स्वयं रूप
ददाति
कदा
स्वापदान्तिकं
मह्यं ददाति स्वपदान्तिकम्
Vandeham Shri Guru Shri Yutapat
वन्देऽहं
Kamalam Shri Guru
श्रीगुरु
Vaishnava
श्रीयुतापदाकमलं
श्रीगुरुं
श्रीगुरुवैष्णवं
साग्रजातं
साग्रजातं सहगृहीतं
सागनाय
सह परं
साद्वैतं सावधूतं परिजनासहितं कृष्णचैतन्यदेवं
सहितं कृष्ण चैतन्यदेवं श्रीराधकृष्णापदं सहगणललिता श्रीविशाखान्वितं च
Krishna Karuna Sindhu
श्रीकृष्ण
Dinabandhu
करुणा सिन्धो
Jagannath
दीनबन्धो जगत्पते गोपेश गोपिका कान्ता राधा कान्ता नमोऽस्तुते
तप्त कांचन गौरांगी राधे
राधा
वृंदावनेश्वरी
वृन्दावनेश्वरी
भानुप्रिये देवी प्रणमामि
देवी प्रणमामि
हरिप्रिये।
हरिप्रिये
Mancha Kalparujasya Kripa
चाकल्पातरुभ्यश्च
Sindhubhya
कृपा
Kripa
सिन्धुभ्यो
Sindhubhyo
न
Vaishnavebhyo
चापतितं
Namo Namo
नमनभयो वैष्णवेभ्यो नमो नमः
Jai Shri Krishna
श्री
Chaitanya
कृष्ण
कृष्ण
Prabhu
चैतन्य
Nityananda
प्रभु नित्यानन्द
नित्यानंद
गदाधर श्रीवसादि गौरभद्रवृन्द
Hare Krishna
हरे
Krishna
कृष्णा
Hare
कृष्ण
Rama
हरे
कृष्ण
Hare
हरे
Rama
हरे
Rama Rama
हरे
Hare
राम
Hare
हरे राम
हरे
राम राम हरे हरे
Namo
नमो
Vishnupadaya
विष्णुपदाय
नमो
Krishnapadaaya Bhutale
विष्णुपादाय
Srimate
कृष्णपृष्ठाय
Bhaktidinoda
भूतले
स्वामी
श्रीमते
Namaste
भक्तिवेदान्ता
Saraswati
सरस्वती
स्वामिने
गौरवाणी
नमस्ते सरस्वती देवे गौरवाणी प्रचारिणे निर्विश शून्यवादी पश्चात् देशतारिणे
Mukam karoti vachalam pangum langayate
लङ्कायते गिरे
giridharatam vande Shri
यपातः अहं वन्दे श्रीगुरुं दीनातारम्
कृष्ण चैतन्य ईश्वर
मानन्दमाधवं कृष्णं
चन्द्राय
गौरी गौरीचन्द्राय कान्तकाले कृष्ण कृष्ण भक्तानदा भक्ताय नमो नमः
Hare Krishna Hare Bol. Okay, so we'll read. So Avni has actually very nicely, with the help of her quiz, summarized so far whatever we learned. Right? Anybody has any questions till the first 12 verses? So so far, Krishna has talked about six things Arjun asked, and Krishna has answered about the Kshetra, which is body. Then he answered about the Kshetragya, which are the two knowers in the body. Then he answered about what is Jnanam or knowledge. Then he also answered about what is the process of obtaining knowledge by acquiring all those qualities. And then in this 13th verse, we will be talking about, Krishna will be answering about what is object of knowledge or Gayam. Gayam. This is the object of knowledge. So 13 to 19 shlokas go together. So we'll try to finish those if possible. Because in 13th, Krishna is talking about Gayam or object of knowledge, and then 14th to 19th, he's talking about the qualities of the super soul. So let's start here. 13.13 Bhagavad Gita. Gayam yattat pravakshami yajñātvāmritam ashnute anadimat paramam brahma nasattannāsaduchyate Okay, anyone wants to read this translation? Please, yes, Prabhuji.
I shall now explain the knowable, knowing which you will taste the eternal Brahman, the spirit beginningless and subordinate to me, lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. Hari Bol.
Be bold. So Krishna is saying that now I shall explain to you the knowable or the Gayam. What is knowable? What is the object of our knowledge? And knowing which you will taste the eternal. Gyatva amritam ashnute. Right? Amritam means what is not mrit. So what is eternal? Right? Or so some people translate Amrit as nectar, some people translate Amrit as eternal. Ashnute can be tasting, like anyone remembers a verse where Ashnami word comes? Very, very famous verse. Yes, Vedi.
I think it's
Patram
Patram
Pushpam.
Pushpam Phalam Toyam Yome Bhaktya Prayachati Tadaham Bhakti Uphartam Ashnami Prayatatmana.
Yeah, I know. Perfect. Ashnami means taste, that I will taste or I will accept, I will eat whatever my devotee gives to me with love. So here Ashnute means tasting. So if you know this object of knowledge, then knowing this, you will taste nectar. Tasting nectar can also basically mean here that you will attain liberation, because Amrit means to not be Mrit, to not be dead. To not be dead means to be eternal or be attaining liberation. So you will attain liberation by knowing this knowledge. And he's saying that this eternal Brahman, or the super soul, here Brahman is referring to both either Jiva or Paramatma. It can refer to either. Okay, so he's saying that that Brahman is Anadi, meaning it's beginningless. It is subordinate to me, Mat Parmam, that I am superior to this Brahman. And this Brahman is beyond the cause and effect of this material world, beyond the Sat and Asat of this material world. Okay, so basically, Krishna is saying that I'll tell you now what is the object of knowledge or Gayam, knowing which you will attain liberation. And that object of knowledge is, he's saying, is Brahman. Okay, Brahman, which is subordinate to me, which is beginningless. Okay, meaning it has no adi, anadi, it is beginningless, and it is beyond the cause and effect of this material world, meaning that it is not touched by this material world. So this, now in purport, Prabhupada is explaining that this Brahman refers to either Jivatma or Paramatma, meaning spirit soul or super soul. It can refer to either. It depends on the context that we are talking about. Okay. So the next several verses from 14 to 19 are talking about super soul. So here Brahman is referring to the super soul, or the which is sometimes called Par Brahman, right? पार ब्रह्म परमेश्वर तुम सबके swami, right? That par brahm or Brahman is Paramatma, super soul, being referred to here. So whether it is spirit soul or super soul, they have same qualities. We know that, right? They are both eternal. They are both beginningless, endless. Um, they are. Krishna is saying that Brahman is subordinate to me. It is subordinate to me. It lies beyond the cause and effect of this material world. So, if it is referring to spirit soul, then it is subordinate to Krishna. If it is referring to Paramatma, then it is nothing but one of the expansions of Krishna, one of the energies of Krishna, right? But either way, they are both anadi, both beginningless, and they are both beyond the effects of this material world. They are not touched, they are not contaminated by this material world. So then in the purport, Prabhupada has given the understanding of both the Jiva and the Paramatma, the Brahman and the Par Brahman. Okay, he says that the Par Brahman is the chief knower of the body. He's the supreme knower of the body. Okay, he is the master of the three modes. He's the Gunadhish or Gunesha. He's the Ish of the Gunas, three Gunesha or Gunadhisha. He's the master of the three modes. So here this Par Brahman or super soul is being talked about, who is the supreme knower of the body, who is the master of the three modes, beyond the control of this material nature, and that is the object of our knowledge. That is the Gayam. So basically, for us to understand, Gayam here refers to the Supersoul or the Paramatma. And if we have the knowledge of that Paramatma, then one can relish the nectar of the life, or one can attain liberation. Okay. So Prabhupada has also quoted some verses. Actually, in all these purports, Prabhupada will quote from various Upanishads. He'll quote from uh, Katha Upanishad, Shvetashvara Upanishad, Taittiriya Upanishad. So he's quoting from different Upanishads, various sayings, various quotes he's giving. Like here, if you see, he is giving the quote from Katha Upanishad, Na jayate mriyate va vipaschit, that the knower of the body or supersoul is never born, never dies, and is full of knowledge. And then he's quoting from Shvetashvara Upanishad, later part of the purport. He's saying, so basic many verses he gives. Pradhan Kshetra Patir Gunesha. So Pradhan Kshetra means Pradhan Kshetragya means that he's the chief knower. Pradhan means chief. Kshetragya means knower. That out of the two knowers, Super Soul is the chief knower, and Patir Gunesha. He's the Pati. He's the Lord or Master of the Gunas, or the three modes of material nature. So in this way, Prabhupada is giving the differentiation between the Jivatma and the Paramatma. He's also given some other technical terms. If you're interested, you can read about it. But basically, he's calling Jivatma the Vigyan Brahman, and Paramatma he's calling Anand Brahman, or the supreme Brahman, the super soul. The Anand, the source of bliss, is the Anand Brahman, and Vigyan Brahman is the spirit soul, or the Jiva. So, not to make it complicated, basically Krishna is saying, I'll tell you what is the object of the knowledge, or the Gayam, and he's saying the object of knowledge is Brahman. Brahman can be Jivatma or Paramatma, but here we are talking about Paramatma. So the object of knowledge is Paramatma. That is the answer to that question. What is the Gay, or what is the object of our knowledge? It is Paramatma. And from next verse onwards, Krishna will start listing the various qualities of the Paramatma or the Super Soul. We already know some of those qualities, but some will get a little technical. So we'll discuss that. Is that clear? So when Avni next time puts the question in Kahoot quiz, what is the object of knowledge? Is it the body? Is it the material nature? Is it the a super soul? What will you answer?
Supersoul.
Super soul, the Paramatma, is the object of our knowledge, or Gayam. And Krishna is calling it Brahman. Okay. So then if you're okay, let's read next few verses. They are all qualities of this Paramatma, or the super soul. So we are this. This is a very important verse actually. 13.14. Many times I've heard this quoted in various lectures. I did not know where it was coming from until now. So, okay, 13.14. Sarvata panipadam tat
Sarvata
Padam
sarvatokshi shiromukham
Sarvatokshimukham
sarvata shrutimaloke
Sarvata Shruti Maloke
sarvam avritya tishtati.
Sarvam Avirtya
Okay, anyone would like to read this? Yes, Avni, go ahead.
Everywhere are his hands and legs, his eyes, heads, and faces, and he has ears everywhere. In this way, the Supersoul exists, pervading everything. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. Thank you. So this is a very famous verse. Sarvata pani padam tat. That pani means hands, padam means feet. That his hands and feet are everywhere. Sarvato kshi shiro mukham. Shiro means his head. Akshi. Akshi means eyes. His eyes, his head, and his faces are everywhere. Okay, mukham. Sarvata Shrutimal. Shrutimal means the organs that hear. So ears. Shrutimal is the ears. Everywhere are his ears in this world. Okay. And he pervades everything, or he covers everything. Avritya tishtati. He pervades into everything, and that's how he lives in this universe. So everywhere are his hands, feet, eyes, faces, heads, and ears. So this is the one of the qualities of the super soul. Let's read one or two more, and then we'll discuss them together. Okay, anyone would like to read this? Okay, hold on, let me recite very quick. 13.15. Sarvendriya gunabhasam
Sarvendriya
Sarvendriya vivarjitam
Sarvendriya
Asaktam sarvabhrichaiva
Asaktam
Nirgunam gunabhoktra cha
Nirgunam
Okay, yes, Shitarmati.
The super soul is the original source of all senses, yet he is without senses. He is unattached, although he is the maintainer of all living beings. He transcends the modes of nature, and at the same time, he is the master of all the modes of material nature.
Very bold. Thank you. Okay, thank you, Navya. So this verse is, so last verse said that's everywhere are his various body parts, right? Hands, feet, faces, eyes, ears, everywhere. Now this verse is giving further qualities of the super soul. That super soul is the source of all senses, yet he is without senses. So this we will understand what it means without senses. He is asaktam. He is unattached, although he is maintainer of all living entities. Okay, he's sarvabhrit. Bhrit or bharta means the one who maintains. So he's the maintainer of everything, yet he is unattached to those things that he maintains. He creates everything, but he's unattached to his creation. Nirgunam, we have discussed this word nirguna before, without material qualities, without the three modes of material nature, without affected by the three modes of material nature or not having material qualities, nirgunam. And guna bhoktra cha, he's the master of the three modes that we also discussed before, that he's the gunesha or gunadhisha, he's the master of those three modes. So three things are being said. One, that he's the source of all senses but without senses. Two, that he creates and maintains everything but not attached to those things. And number three, that he is the master of the three modes but not under the control of the three modes. Okay, so those three broad things are being said in this verse. Yes, Anita Mataji, sharing something you want to read?
No, Mataji, I have a question actually. So this word Saguna and Nirguna in chapter 12, verse 5. So it's like there is evidence in Vedic literature that worship may be Saguna or Nirguna of the supreme possessing or not possessing attributes. And then yahan pe Mataji, it's talking about Nirguna. Nirguna means material modes. So I'm a little bit confused. So if you can just,
Yes,
provide, how do I understand both the verses?
Yes, Mataji. Mataji, I'll tell in detail. Let's read one more. I'll tell you what that means.
Yeah.
Okay, let's read one more. 13.16. Bahir antascha bhutanam acharam charameva cha sukshamatvat tad avigyeyam durastham chantike chatat
Durastam chantike chatah
Anyone wants to read this translation? Anita Mataji, want to read?
Sure, Mataji. Hare Krishna. The supreme truth exists outside and inside of all living beings, the moving and the non-moving. Because he is subtle, he is beyond the power of the material senses to see or to know. Although far, far away, he is also near to all. Hare Krishna.
Very bold. So very contradictory, right? He's outside and inside. How can somebody be both outside and inside? Moving and non-moving. And he's subtle. He's beyond the power of our senses to see. And he's also far and near. Dura and Chantiken, near. Uh, and he's suksham, he's subtle. And that is why he's avigyayam, or not very easily perceivable or conceivable. Bahir and Antas, outside and inside of all living beings. Acharam and Charam, of both moving and non-moving living entities. Okay, so let's take these three verses together and hopefully that will clarify some things. So let's start with this one. So this one Krishna is saying, so first he said that the object of knowledge or Gayam is the super soul, right? And then so we know that super soul is Paramatma. He's saying that everywhere are his hands, legs, everything, right? He's everywhere. So we know that. We always say that Bhagwan sab jagah hai, you don't want to, even when you are by yourself, you should not commit any sins or offenses because God is listening to you or watching you or hearing you, right? He can see you. So how do we say that? This is the verse that tells you that how Paramatma can see everything and hear everything. So we may think that we are by ourselves, but actually there is Paramatma who can see and hear and watch and accompanies us in everything, right? In tough situations, in easy situations, in good or bad. He's watching us all the time. So he exists everywhere, in everything, right? We know that. And he pervades into everything. Like the last line is saying, he's pervading everything, right? So super soul or Paramatma is not like there are multiple Paramatmas. It's not like I have a different Paramatma in me, Paramatma number 1, Paramatma number 2, 3, 4, 5. It's not like this. It's not like there are millions of jivas, so there are millions of Paramatmas. Okay? There is only one Paramatma and he's existing within everybody and everything. Okay? Whether it's moving or non-moving living entity, he's residing within everything. He's pervading into everything. He so he's omnipotent, right? We can exist only in this body, but he can, with his unlimited infinite potencies, exist in different bodies at the same time. Okay, and you can take an example like Prabhupada actually used to give this example. I don't think this is in the purport, but Prabhupada has given this example in his lectures, that imagine if there is in a tape recorder, there is the recording of somebody's voice, a song. So that voice is in this tape recorder also, this tape recorder also, tape recorder number 3, 4, all tape recorders have that same voice playing in it. But there is also a separate person that is separate from that voice that is not in the tape recorder right now, right? So similarly, there is a supreme person who is always in his Golok Dham, always in Vrindavan. Krishna never goes out of Vrindavan. He's always there, but by his energies and expansions, he has expanded into each and every living being and everything, just like the voice of this person has been recorded into the tape recorder, right? So if we can do that with our material energies, then Krishna has, infinite energies, unlimited potencies. So with the expansions of those energies, he expands into each and every living entity. So Paramatma is nothing but an expansion of one of his portions or plenary portions, which is, who can tell which Vishnu is that expands into each and every living being as Paramatma? That is the plenary portion of Krishna. Which plenary portion is that? Which Vishnu?
Mataji, is it Siro Dakshai Vishnu?
Yes, Mataji, perfect. Yeah, Shirodakshaya Vishnu that enters into each and every living being as the Paramatma. So Shirodakshaya Vishnu is basically portion of the plenary portion of the portion. It's like that. So many expansions are there. If you read in Bhagavatam in detail, it starts from Krishna, what is the next expansion, and then from Balram, what is the next expansion, how there is the Chatur view of Aniruddha, Pradyumna, Vasudev. right? And then next Chaturvyuha comes, and then how Mahavishnu comes, and then from Mahavishnu, Garbhodaksha Vishnu, then Shiro. So they are expansion and further expansion and expansion. So Krishna is not doing anything himself. Krishna has nothing to do. He does not do these things himself. His expansions and his energies do all the things. So with one of his expansions, which is Shirodaksha Vishnu, he's pervading into everything as Paramatma. So he's everywhere. He's watching everything. Like Prabhupada once asked, there were 4 people sitting in the room. Okay. Prabhupada asked the devotees, okay, tell me how many people are there in the room. So Prabhupada is sitting and there are 3 more devotees sitting. So 4 people are sitting, right? So one devotee said, Prabhupada, we have 4 people. What are you saying? We have 4 people sitting. Prabhupada said, okay, what does the next person say? The next person said, Prabhupada, there are 8 people sitting. Okay. Prabhupada said, okay, what does the other one say? The third person said, Prabhupada, there are 5 people in the room. Prabhupada said, yes, you're correct. So everybody was amazed. How can there be 5 people? It's 4 of us. So Prabhupada said, tell me your logic. He said, you forgot Bhagwan, you forgot Paramatma, right? So the first person said, yeah, I forgot Bhagwan. So that means we are not 4, we are more. But doesn't that mean we are 8? Because there is Paramatma inside everybody. So that means we are 8 because one Jiva, one Paramatma, one Jiva, one Paramatma. That means we are 8 people. So Prabhupada said, no, there is only one Paramatma in all of us. So it's not like there is one Jiva and a separate Paramatma. One Jiva, he has his own separate Paramatma. No, it is one Paramatma, one super soul in everybody. So that is why there are 5 people in this room, he said. So that, if that makes it clear, that I thought that story was very nice. But that's how there is one Paramatma who's pervading everything. He's covering everything. Avritya. The shloka is saying Sarvam Avritya Tishtati. By covering everything, he's situated. So he can go anywhere. He can do anything. He can see anything, right? We cannot go anywhere, do anything, see anything. I don't know what's going on somewhere else outside this scope of influence. I cannot see anything. I cannot go anywhere I want. He can go wherever he wants, right? He can hear from anywhere. Why? Because he has so many legs, so many eyes, so many ears, so many faces. So that is Paramatma. Like Hiranyakashipu asked Prahlad Maharaj, right? Is your Bhagwan in this in these walls? Is he in this palace? Is he in this column? And then he started hitting the column. Is he in this column? In this pillar, right? And what did Prahlad Maharaj say? Did Prahlad Maharaj say no? He's not in the pillar. What does Navya think? Or any other Athar? I don't see Athar actually. So what did he say? Somebody was answering. Was Prahlad Maharaj saying?
He said, yes, he's in the pillar.
He's everywhere, right? He said, yes, he's everywhere. So he's in this pillar also. So then he started striking the pillar. Okay, so show me your Bhagwan. Will he come out of this pillar? And then came Narsingadev to fulfill the wish of his devotee that, yes, I am everywhere. So I'm also in this pillar as well. Like people, sometimes against the deity worship, people will say, oh, Bhagwan is everywhere. Why do you worship this deity? Bhagwan is everywhere. Why do we have to worship the deity? But then if Bhagwan is everywhere, Bhagwan is also in the deity, right? If Bhagwan is everywhere, Bhagwan is also in the deity. So if we can perceive Bhagwan in the deity, in that, Shyam Sundar form, and we can relate to that deity and exchange relationships, offer bhoga, worship, then why is Bhagwan not in this deity, but Bhagwan is everywhere else? It's just an excuse to not have to do anything, to not have to show any kind of love or affection to Bhagwan. People are just negating the deity worship, that, oh, Bhagwan is everywhere, we can see him in everything. But can you really see him in everything? No. So that's why there is Bhagwan has put himself in our service in the form of Vigraha, in the form of deity. So we can have relationships with him, we can offer bhoga to him, we can change his clothes, give him abhishek, right? And sing for him, do the kirtan, do the prayers, offer prayers to him. Because we are not, with our limited senses, we are not able to perceive him everywhere. Yes, he is everywhere, but he's also in that deity. So to say that he's everywhere but not in this deity does not make any sense. So that's one of the points that Prabhupada always used to make. Okay, so let's, is this one clear, that he's basically saying that super soul is everywhere and pervading into everything with his numerous hands, legs, eyes, faces, and ears. Okay, let's do the next one that we read. So, and then he's saying super soul is the original source of all senses. So this is a little tricky, a little bit more to understand here. Sir, so take the first two lines together. He is the guna bhasam. Guna bhasam means he is the source of all senses. Okay. Sarvendriya vivarjitam, yet he is without any senses. Now, in many verses, it is said that Krishna has, just now we read that Krishna has eyes, ears, Paramatma has eyes, ears, face. And then the next verse is saying that he is without any senses. So, first of all, let's reconcile that point. What does it mean that Krishna has eyes everywhere, ears everywhere, he can walk anywhere? So you're saying that he has all these senses, he can walk, he has hands, he can accept prasadam. And now the next verse immediately is saying that yet he's without senses. So let's first of all reconcile that thought. So it is well established, not just in Bhagavad Gita, but actually in Srimad Bhagavatam, in Brahma Samhita, Sri Shopnishad, many other places, in so many Upanishads that Prabhupada has mentioned in the purports. It is very well established that Krishna has senses. Okay. But here, what it means, he's without senses, that he has no material senses. He does not have senses like us. Okay. He did not get the senses. We get our senses, we acquire our senses based on the karmas that we do, right? We are given the senses, we are given this body. Krishna does not get body from anywhere. He has a spiritual body that inherently always has senses, which are spiritual senses, in such a way that one sense can perform the function of other. So it's not like with his eyes he can only see, or with his legs he can only walk, with his ears he can only hear. That is our limitation. He, being omnipotent, does not have that limitation. With each sense he can perform the function of other senses also. Okay. Like I'll show you this very beautiful verse. I actually really like it a lot, from Brahma Samhita. Angani yasya sakalendriyavrittimanti pashyanti panti kalyanti chiram jaganti ananda chinmaya sadujvala vigrahasya govindamadi purusham tamham bhajami. Let me open that verse. I think I recited it correctly. That verse is saying that Angani yasya sakalendriya vrittimanti, that whose is not it. Oh. This verse is saying that whose Angani, whose limbs can perform the function of other organs, like they're completely full in themselves. I worship Govinda, the primeval, this line, the full-fledged functions of all organs. Each of the limbs of that transcendental figure possesses in himself the full-fledged function of all the organs, whose angas, angani yasya, sakalendriya, of all the senses, they can perform the function of other senses. So they are so full in themselves, like when we offer bhoga. So somebody can say, oh, but how would he eat? Is he eating with his eyes? Is the deity eating with his eyes? Yes. Krishna is not limited like us, that he cannot eat with his eyes. He does not have to travel with his limbs. He does not have to just taste the food with his mouth. So in this way, his organs are spiritual. His senses are spiritual. They are not given to him. They're not assigned to him by material nature. They are not assigned to him because of his karmas or because of his potencies or tendencies by the three gunas. No, that is his spiritual body, which is fully potent. Each organ, each sense organ is completely wholesome. He's complete in all respects, so that each organ can fully function for the other organ, can do anything that he wants. So in this way, he has senses, but not the kind of senses that we have. Okay, so he's the origin source of all senses. That is the first line. Then the second line is saying, Asaktam Sarva Bhritcheva. He is the Sarva Bhrit. He is the maintainer. Bhrit means Bharta or maintainer of everything. He is the Bharta or maintainer of everything, yet he is unattached. So again, that is unlike us, right? We when we are creator of something, when we create something, maintain something, like when we are maintaining our kids, or when we are maintaining our property, we are maintaining our family or anything, a business, we get attached to it, right? But Krishna has created and maintaining this entire creation and all living beings in it, yet he is not attached to them. So he's asaktam. So even though he has created and maintained everything, he is completely unattached to those things. That is asaktam. And then let's take this last one that Mataji asked. We'll discuss about this. Mataji, I'll try to answer your question here. Nirgunam guna bhoktricha. So two things here. That he is the guna bhokta, meaning he is the master of the gunas. Gunas means three modes of material nature. Yet he is nirgunam. Nirgunam means yet he is. There are various meanings of nirgunam, but they all ultimately mean the same thing. Okay. So nirguna, so remember that when we have three modes of, when we are under the control of three modes of material nature, I'm going to write this down, Mataji, so it will be easier to understand. Okay, so gunas basically means the three modes of material nature, right? When we are under the control of three modes of material nature, we develop various qualities, right? Like somebody may be lazy, so that is coming from the tamoguna, right? Somebody may be very truthful or chaste, that is coming from satguna. Somebody may be very aggressive and active, sporty, that is coming from or talented, that is coming from rajoguna. Just think of any other. Somebody may be very good at art or music or science, right? Again, it can be satoguna or rajoguna. So various qualities we acquire based on which mode of material nature controls us more. Okay, that is why we say इसके ये गुण हैं, qualities को हम गुण बोलते हैं, right? So वो गुण या qualities हमारे में कहाँ से आती हैं? Because of the control of the three modes of material nature, right? Is that right, Mataji? Yes. Now Krishna is not controlled by the three gunas. We agree on this, right? He's not controlled by the three gunas, right? In that way, he's nirguna. He's not controlled by the three gunas. That means he does not have these qualities that come from the control of the three modes of material nature, right? That also means nirguna. So it can mean both things. It can mean he has no material qualities, because material qualities come from being controlled by the three modes of material nature. Okay, so he's not controlled by three modes, thus he has no material qualities. That means he is nirguna. Okay, but what does it mean? He is full, completely wholesome, full of infinite qualities. They are not controlled, these qualities are not controlled by material modes, right? These qualities, these opulences that we always talk about, right? We say 64 main prime qualities Krishna has. Krishna ki 64 kalaएं बोलते हैं, right? Out of the infinite qualities, 64 are very, very famous. And out of 64, 6 are even most prominent that we always talk about, right? So Krishna is full of infinite qualities inherently. Like he has not acquired them. We acquire these qualities because of the control of the three gunas. We acquire them. Krishna is always full of the infinite qualities, no matter what situation he is. He is not controlled by the three modes of material nature to depict certain qualities at certain times. He is always complete, always full of infinite qualities, and that is why these qualities are spiritual qualities. He is nothing material at all, right? So in this way, he is nirguna. So nirguna has these meanings, that he is not controlled by the three modes of material nature. He has no material qualities as a result, and he has all whole, full infinite spiritual qualities. These are the various meanings of nirguna. They ultimately mean the same thing, but differently they are put sometimes, but they ultimately mean the same thing. Okay, so now the question that you posed from 12th chapter was nirguna or sagun bhakti.
Right.
This has other meaning. This meaning means when we are nirguna bhakti means bhakti of like impersonal form, where we are saying that there are no qualities at all. We are worshipping the impersonal, like Brahman, impersonal effulgence. Or sagun basically means that we are saying Krishna is full of all infinite spiritual qualities and he's the supreme person, and we worship not the Brahman but the supreme person who's the source of Brahman. So this is bhakti. This is the this is followed by the devotees, the personalism path or sagun bhakti. Okay, so that is the context in that verse, Mataji. But in this verse, this is the context.
Okay, I think yes, I think I'm getting it. And the follow-up line, which is there in 12.5, is worship of the deity in the temple is saguna worship, for the Lord is represented by material qualities. तो यहाँ पे मतलब कि जो टेम्पल में डीटी वर्शिप करते हैं और भगवान को यहाँ पे मटेरियल क्वालिटीज से रिप्रेजेंट किया गया है. मतलब आई एम जस्ट ट्राइंग टू ट्रांसलेट इट इनटू हिंदी. तो
Yes,
फिर
ma'am.
वो मटेरियल.
Yes, mother, it is for our perception, right? जैसे कि marble या wood या anything has been which is all material things. They have taken the form of the supreme person of the vigraha, so that we as material people can relate to the supreme Lord. Okay, so material qualities does not mean that that Krishna has come under the control of the three modes of material nature. It just means that he is that these material things that we can perceive are being used to have to be able to relate to Krishna, to be able to perceive him with our material senses. Because our senses are material, we cannot perceive his spiritual body with our material senses. Abhi next verse may remember he says inconceivable by the material senses. So he's inconceivable to us. That is why we need something which is conceivable to our material senses, which can be perceived, जिसको हम देख सकें, है ना? तो इसीलिए we can see the deity with our eyes. We can hear the kirtan with our ears. We can taste the prasadam with our tongue. We can go to the dham with our legs. We can offer the bhoga with our hands, right? So in this way, various of our material senses engage in the service of Krishna, and he puts himself in our hands, like in form of Bhagavatam or Bhagavad Gita. Dekhne ko, this is just made of paper. It can be burnt. It's not like that. This is a spiritual book. It cannot be burnt or torn or anything. It has acquired material qualities because of this, but it is a spiritual book, right? So, but in this form, we are able to perceive Krishna through Srimad Bhagavatam, through Bhagavad Gita, through the Guru, through the devotees, through the Kirtan, through the Bhoga, through the Dham, through the temple, through the deities. So in this way, Krishna accepts these material forms of variety of forms for us to be able to relate to him, to perceive him, right? Even the Vrindavan Dham, like somebody, material people, or Jagannath Puri Dham, or any Dham, right? For materialistic people, it is just any city, and they'll comment, oh, it's dirty, there are, water is not good, or Ganga is so dirty, contaminated, Yamuna is like this. So if you're looking at everything with material vision, we'll only see the dirt and all this. But actually, these dhams are the windows into the spiritual world, right? People that have spiritual vision, they can only relate to the importance of the dham. Similarly, any materialistic person, if he sees the book, he'll just say, oh, this is just a book. This is just a book. But to a devotee, this book is Krishna. Srimad Bhagavatam is Krishna. Similarly, a deity to a materialistic person is just made something of wood or marble, oh, just an idol, just a murti. But to a devotee, this is Krishna himself, right? Krishna has put himself in our care through these things. Kirtan or mantra is just like any other words or song for a materialistic person, but for a devotee, they're relishing the nectar in that kirtan or in that mantra, right? So in this way, various things, they all look materialist, but to a devotee, you know, they're all spiritual, and these are all just spiritual things that Krishna has put in our hands so we can perceive them with our material vision. Is that okay, Mataji?
यस माता जी, मेनी मेनी थैंक्स. सो भगवान निर्गुण है और हम उनको पूजा जो करते हैं सगुण रूप में करते हैं, सगुण के साथ करते हैं, मतलब सब के साथ, राइट? सो दैट इज हाउ
Yes, Mataji. I think you have understood, huh? So we have so these qualities that Krishna has acquired, they're not under the control of three modes of material nature. They're just for us to have relationship with him. That is why it's called Sagun Bhakti. Okay, so let's do next one. Is this clear? Is this okay? Is this point clear that he's above the three modes of material nature, transcendental to them, and master of them, not controlled by them, right? Okay. Avni's
Yes,
giving a thumbs up.
Mataji.
I know Avni understood. I know that she has read everything so much in detail. Okay. Okay, let's do one more. Next one. So we read this one. Okay, this is very interesting. So Bahir Antascha Bhutanam, that supreme truth exists outside and inside of all living entities, right? Achar and Char, he's in the moving and non-moving. And he's subtle, meaning Suksham. Krishna says he's Suksham or subtle. And he's beyond the power of material senses to see or to know. So he's inconceivable to us. That is why we say Achintya Bheda Bhed, right? That he's achintya, he's inconceivable to us. Avigyayam, like not knowable. So Paramatma, jisko hum bol rahe hain, he's the object of knowledge, he's the Gay. Krishna is saying that he's avigyayam. That is the object of our knowledge, but it's not possible to know him. He's avigyayam. So that is very, very contradictory, right? Unknowable. Abhi to aapne bola ki you have to know him, but now you're saying he's unknowable. But Krishna will give the secret in next couple verses. Who can know him? Durastham, he's far and is near also. So these look contradictory, but with Krishna's unlimited energies and potencies, he can be outside and inside. If I am inside a room, I'm only inside. I cannot be outside, right? But Krishna can be both outside and inside. He can be both far and near. Okay, he is far because he's sitting as supreme person in Golok Dham. He's near because he's sitting inside all our hearts as Paramatma, right? He's subtle, he's suksham, right? We cannot perceive him with our material senses, like we just talked about that in detail, so I won't go more into it. So there is no power in our material senses to see or to know. That is why so many people say, right, mujhe Bhagwan dikhao, I want to, have you seen God? Did you see that video I shared? I think I shared on Hare Krishna group. The pupil asks the teacher, no, the teacher asks the pupil, why do you believe in God? Have you seen God? Have you tasted God? Have you heard him? Have you touched him? He said, no, I have not. He said, then how can you believe in God? So he said, Professor or Master Ji, please tell me, have you seen your buddhi? Have you heard your buddhi? Have you touched your buddhi? Have you tasted your buddhi? He said, no. Okay, then you have no buddhi. So, in this way, not everything can be perceived by our senses, right? And remember that is one of the qualities of our senses too, that they are inefficient, that they are inaccurate, they are inefficient, they have tendency to err, to make mistakes. So they are not. We have so many times we have done those illusions, right, where something is being shown, but actually we are perceiving something else, right? There are dots on the paper, but it looks like dots are moving, but they're actually not moving. So many auditory illusions or visual illusions, tricks that are there. Magicians, they always use the trick of the tricks, right? They just trick our senses basically. They quickly do something and we think, oh, this is magic, but all they're doing it is haath ki safai, right? They're doing it so fast that we cannot even perceive those things. So many things we cannot see. We cannot see coronavirus with our eyes, right? We cannot see some things we cannot see. You cannot see anybody's love for you, can you? Unless you express it, right? So many things that are very, very suksham or subtle. And actually subtle things are what we are trying to understand through this. So Bhagwan is also very subtle like this, right? Amoglila Prabhu said that, right? कि मैं दिल में आता हूँ समझ में नहीं, right? So you cannot just understand him. He's suksham, he's subtle. So समझ में नहीं आता, दिल में आता हूँ. So you have to understand him not with your senses but with your heart, with your love. You can understand him. Then he puts himself in your hands that you can understand him, right? So then, though he's far, far away, he will also become very near to us. But if we are just thinking, oh, this is just Murti, this is just a book, this is just a river, this is just a city, this Prashadam is just some other karmi food, this Kirtan is just some Bollywood music. No, this is on a much higher transcendental plane, and these are the various ways by which Krishna has put himself in our hands. So he can be very, very close to us and we can get to know him. We can surrender to him through these things. He's subtle. So, okay. Let's do, I wanted to finish this portion about Paramatma and they're all together. So let's read 2 or 3 more. 13.17 Avibhaktam cha bhuteshu
Avibhaktam cha bhuteshu
vibhaktam eva cha sthitam
vibhaktam eva cha sthitam
bhuta bhutabhratre cha tajgeyam
bhuta bharta cha tadgiyam
grasishnu prabhavishnu cha.
grasishnu cha.
Okay. So let's do this one. So this is, again, we have understood this. Supersoul appears to be divided among all beings, but he's never divided. We already discussed about this, right? How when Prabhupada asked the question, it's 4 people sitting, it's not 8 Paramatma, it's 5 people sitting there, 1 Paramatma. So he's not divided among all beings, he's never divided. He's situated as one. So this point is even more clear here. So that point we discussed. Bhuta bhartri chataj gayam. That he is the Bhuta bhartri. Bhartri, again, bharta word means maintainer. He is the maintainer of all living beings, like we said before also. And it is to be understood that he devours and develops all. Grasishnu and Prabhavishnu, that he devours and develops all. So he's the maintainer of everything, but he also annihilates and creates everything, devours and develops everything. Okay. So what that means, we have discussed this in the past. He devours or annihilates everything with his time, with his Kal Roop, right? Remember we saw the universal form in this Kal Roop. All the people were going into his mouth. So eventually everything gets annihilated, right? This body gets destroyed. The yuga comes to an end. The material creation comes to an end. There is pralay, and then there is mahapralay. After so many yugas, mahapralay happens. After certain number of yugas, pralay happens. And body, we already see how it keeps getting destroyed, keeps getting devoured with time. We keep aging. Nobody gets younger. We always only get older, right? With time, with Kal factor, we only age and get diseased and dwindle and die, right? So he devours everything, but he also develops everything. Develops meaning he creates everything, he maintains everything, sustains everything, right? Without him, there will not be any nectar of the moon or flow of the rivers or the plants or living beings or this consciousness. He instills jiva into the creation, right? Right? Which Vishnu creates all the universes? From whose body? Which Vishnu's body come all? Which plenary expansion of Krishna? Okay, Vedhi knows. Let's see. Vedhi, I want to see if anybody, Navni. Anybody else would like to try? Which plenary expansion gives rise to all the universes? Whose body creates all the universes? Okay. Nahi,
Mataji.
Mataji, try.
Garbhodakshai.
Okay, let's see Vedhi.
I thought, oh, is it
Oh yeah, so it's not Garbhodaksha? It's not. So it's then
One more.
Kshirodaksha.
One more.
Kshirodaksha.
So okay, name the 3 Vishnus.
Mahavishnu.
Karnodaksha Mataji.
Yeah. Karnodaksha Vishnu, right? Karnodaksha Vishnu, also known as Mahavishnu, lies in the causal ocean or Karana ocean. And from his pores of his body, with each breath, so many universes come out, right? And into each universe, so let's say millions of universe comes out, are created. Into each universe, Garbhodaksha Vishnu enters, right? So from that Garbhodaksha Vishnu of that universe, one Brahmaji comes, right? Remember you made that spiritual world? So from in that universe, there is a Garbhodaksha Vishnu laying in the Garbhodak ocean from whose navel Brahmaji comes. And from Garbhodaksha Vishnu, Kshirodaksha Vishnu expands into all living entities as Paramatma. But Mahavishnu or Karnodaksha Vishnu is the Karan, is the source from which all the universes emanate. So that is just a side thing to know, but the main thing is that he creates everything, he develops everything, and then he also annihilates everything. And he's the maintainer, and he's devouring and developing. He says, right, aham sarvasya prabhavo matta sarvam pravartate. I am the origin of everything, from me comes everything, right? And he also says sarva yoneshu konteya murtya sambhavantiya tasham brahma mahatyoni aham bij pradapita, that I am the seed giving father of every living entity, all species. Sarva yoneshu konteya, all yonis come from me, okay? And I am the seed giving father of all of those. So he develops everything and he also devours everything. So one of the very nice analogy I like about Paramatma that you can use to explain to somebody is, imagine there is like the sun. I can see sun on Chital Mataji so strong right now. Huh? Now, if you put, let's say on Mataji's table, we put 5 bowls filled with water, 5 bowls filled with water. In each bowl, you can see the sun. You can see the reflection of sun in each bowl, right? 5 bowls are sitting. In each bowl, you can see the reflection of the sun, right? So, but it's the same sun. It's not like sun number 1 in bowl number 1, sun number 2 in bowl number 2, sun number 3. It's not like that, right? It's only one sun who is expanding with its reflection into each bowl of water, right? Is that analogy clear? So it's not like that sun has divided itself into so many suns that he's entered into each bowl, right? It's one sun being reflected into 5 bowls of water, right? So similarly, there is one Krishna, his various energies are expanding into us as Paramatma. So one Paramatma, not divided, situated within all of us, and appears that he's separated. It appears as though he's divided, but he's not divided. So I really like that analogy, or that tape recorder analogy, that the voice is coming through every tape recorder, but it is one person whose voice is coming. It's not like that it is different people in each tape recorder. It's just still the same, but it's just how the energy is being channeled through each body, through each living entity. Krishna has channeled his energy, has put his expansion into each body to help us, to guide us, to watch over us, right? Overseer, he's the overseer, he's the permitter, updrishta anumanta cha, right? You guys are learning that words, right? He's the updrishta, he's the anumanta, he's the bharta, bhokta, purusha para, right? All the qualities. So what is that Paramatma? He's inside us, but he is just overseeing us, just maintaining us, just permitting us, sanctioning us to do various activities, and we just have to look within us to look at Paramatma so that we can be in contact with him. Most people have turned outward. They're more caring about the body than to look inward into the Paramatma who is situated within all of us. If we could just turn inward and look at the Paramatma, then we'll get all the right guidance. What is right to do, what is wrong to do, what are the right things to say, wrong things to say. All those things will get the guidance if we can look inward towards the Paramatma. We are Bahirmukhi, we should be Antarmukhi. We shouldn't look outward, we should look inward. That is self-realization, right? So is this verse clear? Shall we move further? Okay. Avni is getting it like this. This is so hard, Avni. I'm finding it really, really hard trying to use all kind of analogies. But please ask if any questions. I know that this can be some technical things. Okay, let's do two more, last two, and then we'll stop. Jyotishamapi tajyotis
Jyotishaम् api tajyotish
tamsa paramuchyate.
Tamsha
tamsa param
Paramuchyate
uchyate
Jnanam gyeyam jnanagamyam
Jnanam
jnanam
Gayam Jnanagamyam
ज्ञानगम्यं
Hridhi sarvasya vishtitam.
Riddhi
हृदि
Sarvasya
सर्वस्य विष्टितम्
Okay, anyone wants to read this?
I can read, Mataji.
Yes, ma'am.
He is the source of light in all luminous objects. He is beyond the darkness of matter and is unmanifested. He is knowledge. He is the object of knowledge and he is the goal of knowledge. He is situated in everyone's heart. Hare Krishna.
Hare Krishna. So this is very straightforward. Actually, this is easier, one of the easier shlokas. So he's the source of light in all luminous objects. Luminous objects means like sun, moon, stars, celestial bodies that are shining, right? They are luminaries in the sky, right? Sun, moon, etc. So he's the source of light in all luminous objects. We have read that before many times, he says, right? He says, रसोऽहम् अप्सु कौन्तेय प्रभास्मि शशिसूर्यो प्रणव सर्ववेदेषु शब्दाखे पौरुषं ऋषु Prabha Asmi Shashi Suryo. So he says, I'm the Prabha or the light in the Shashi and Suryo. Shashi is moon, Surya is sun. That I'm the light of the sun and the moon. And he's saying same thing again here. I'm the source of light of all luminous objects. Okay. So the light that comes from sun and moon that we are so mesmerized by, right? So that gives life to the plants, to us, to that nourishes the entire earth, right? That cleanses, purifies the earth. That sunlight, that light, that light of moon that gives nectar to the plants and vegetables, all that light is coming from Krishna himself. It is nothing but his Brahma Jyoti, his effulgence. So his effulgence is so bright that it can give light to millions of suns, right? Each universe has different numbers of suns and moons, right? So it is giving light to all those suns and moons, and they appear so brilliant, right? This is nothing but his Brahma Jyoti. And that is why he says in 15th chapter, you will see, he says, Na tadbhasyate suryo na shashanka na pavaka yadgatva na nivartante tadhama paramam mama. This is such a beautiful shloka. Yadgatva na nivartante tadhama paramam mama. Where once having gone, nobody comes back. That dham, that abode is my abode. Which abode? Na tadbhasyate suryo, where there is no need for sun to shine. Na shashanko na pavaka. Shashanko is the moon. No need for moon. Pavaka, electricity. Why? It's not that they're dark. His planets are so self-effulgent by Krishna's effulgence that they do not need the light of the sun, electricity, or moon to light it. So that Golok Dham, where once having gone, nobody comes back, Tad Dhama Paramamama. Right? Na tad bhasyate suryo, na shashanka na pavaka. It does not need any light from outside. On the other hand, material world is dark. Mahatattva, that is like a black cloud in the spiritual sky. It is like a dark black cloud. It is full of darkness. It is material world is full of black darkness and ignorance. Unless there is sun and moon and other luminary bodies, stars, it will be dark. And that light to this material world is given by Krishna's Brahma Jyoti. So that is what he's saying, that I give the light to all the luminous objects. And he also says so many times, right? Sun and moon are my eyes. Right? So we need light to see. If there is darkness, we cannot see. So that light is coming from Krishna. Tamasa is again darkness or ignorance. So ignorance or darkness represents material world. Param uchyate, that I am beyond this darkness of the matter. That matter is dark. The material world is dark. He says, I'm beyond the darkness of this matter. Okay. Gyanam, Gayam, Gyana, Gamyam. What this means, that I am the Gyanam or the knowledge. I am the Gayam or object of knowledge. And I am the goal of knowledge. I am the knowledge, I am the object of knowledge, and I am the goal of knowledge. Hridhi sarvasya vishtitam. and I am residing in everybody's heart. So these two last lines, let's see. Which loka does these two last lines remind you of? That I am residing in everybody's heart, and I am the knowledge, I am the object of knowledge, and I am the goal of the knowledge. Very, very important verse that you all have learned, or most of you have learned. And I reside in everybody's heart. Somebody's king.
Hare Krishna.
Yes. Okay.
I can't see. I can't look at other hands raised or not. I can't see.
Navya wants to try, Prabhu.
Okay, go ahead.
Sarvasya chaham vidhi sanivishto matya
Try the other one.
No, this is good. This is good.
jnanam apohanam cha
Vedescha sarva.
vedescha sarverahameva vedyo vedanta krid vedavid hameva chaham.
Okay, very bold. Yes. Yes, Nirbhay Prabhu, you want to say this too?
Yeah, I was thinking about Vedeshu Yagneshu Tapsu Chaiva.
No, that's
I
not.
was thinking about I got confused. I was thinking it's basically the one that says that I'm the Vedeshu Sarve. No, I'm a Vedyo, but she already said that. I'm confused now.
You're
Go ahead.
confused. She was right. Okay, anybody else would like to recite this verse? Avni wanted to recite. Avni, go ahead.
There's this one. Isn't there another one like Ishwara Sarva Bhutanam Hridesha Arjuna Tishtati Ramayan Sarva Bhutani Yantra Rudani Mayaya?
Yes, that's also correct. But that one doesn't talk about I'm the object of knowledge, I'm to be known. That's why I was thinking of the other one more. But yeah, this one also says that I am residing in everybody's heart. So the one that Navya recited was Sarvasya chaham ridisa nivishto matta smritirgyanam apohanam cha. That I reside in everybody's heart and I am the source of the knowledge, remembrance, and forgetfulness. वेदैश्च सर्वैरहमेव वेद्यो वेदान्तकृद् वेदविदेव चाहम्. This line. So this line says Vedaishcha sarve, that among the Vedas, I am the knower of the Vedas, the compiler of the Vedas, and the object of knowledge of the Vedas. Right? Vedant krid ved vid eva chaham, that I am to be known by the knowledge of the Vedas. I have created them, I know them, and I am to be known by them. So the source of Vedas, the goal of Vedas, the compiler, all is Krishna. Similarly, here also he's saying that I am the one who's the source of all knowledge, I am the knowledge, and I am the goal of that knowledge also. मुझसे ही knowledge आ रही है. You have to know me by this knowledge, and I am the knowledge itself as well. So all three are Krishna. Okay. So that is, and I'm situated in everyone's heart. And I'm situated in everyone's heart is said so many times. So many times. It's amazing. Bhagavad Gita, so many things are repeated, but that is for our benefit because we have such small buddhi that we cannot. It has to be struck. Nail has to be struck many, many times to enter into the wall. So to keep hitting the nail. Yes, Mataji. Chitamaji, please share.
I think Navya wants to give the reference.
Yes.
What?
The number of the shloka is 15.15.
Yes, 15.15 was that verse. And the one that Avni recited was 18.61. Okay, 13.19. Let's do this one and then we'll stop. So this is very straightforward. Iti kshetram tatha jnanam.
Iti kshetram tata jnanam
Gayam choktam samasata.
Gayam
Choktam
Samasata.
samasata.
Madbhakta etad vigyaya.
Madbhakta etat vidyaya.
Madbhavayo papadyate.
Madbhavayo padyate.
Okay, anyone wants to read?
I can read Mataji.
Yes, ma'am.
Hari Bol. Thus, the field of activities, the body, knowledge, and the knowable have been summarily described by me. Only my devotees can understand this thoroughly and thus attain to my nature. Haribol.
Very bold. Thank you, Mataji. So this is really straightforward. Krishna is saying, so all this, the Kshetram, which is the body, Jnanam, the knowledge, the Gayam, object of knowledge, I have described in summary, briefly described by me, that I have briefly described. Now this is important. Mad Bhakta Etat. So we were talking about who can know him, right? So we actually already discussed this. Who can know him? And he is giving the answer. Mad Bhakta Etat Vigyaya. My devotee can know me thoroughly, can understand this thoroughly. And after having understood Mad Bhavayo Papadyate, that he will attain to my nature, meaning he will attain me. Okay, he will attain the supreme person, he will attain the self-realization, the spiritual goal. So he will attain my nature, meaning his nature is spiritual. So he'll attain the spiritual Brahman or the transcendental highest absolute truth. Mad Bhakta Etat Vigyaya. So my devotee can know this. So that is very, very important. And Krishna says that many, many times, right? In Bhagavad Gita, he says, Bhaktya mam abhijanati, that only my devotee can know me properly. Or in 11th chapter, we already read, he says, Bhaktya to ananya shakya aham evam vido Arjuna, that only my devotee can know me without any doubt. Right? Bhaktya to ananya shakya aham evam vido Arjuna. Not only they can, let me pull up that shloka. Gyatva, I'll just open it, I can't remember it exactly. Gyatva drashtum cha tatvena praveshtum cha parantapa. Yeah, that's it. I think it is Bhaktyatva nanyashakya aham evam vido Arjuna gyatva drashtum cha tatvena praveshtum cha parantapa. This we have already read in 11th chapter. My dear Arjun, only by undivided devotional service can I be understood as I am standing before you and can be seen directly. Only in this way you can enter into the mysteries of my understanding. Kaise? By bhakti. Bhaktya ananya bhakti. By pure devotional service, you can know me as I am. Not only you can know me, gyatva, drashtum, you can also see me. By you can understand me by my philosophy, tattva gyan, by philosophy, and praveshtum, and you can enter pravesh into my mysteries. So not only you can see me, you can understand this knowledge, and you can enter into my mysteries or enter into my dham, enter into the spiritual realization. So again, he's saying the same thing here. Mad bhakta etat vigya. My devotee can know this and can attain my nature. So many times Krishna says this, and the one that other verse that I said comes later in, I believe that comes in 18th chapter. Bhaktya mam abhijanati yavan yaschashmi tatvata. That only my devotee can know me as I am. So many verses he says. So we need, so knowledge is, all this knowledge that we are getting, this is just the prelim step to achieve finally the pure devotional service. This is not bhakti, getting knowledge only but not doing any bhakti is not the goal. The goal is that we get this knowledge as so that our faith can get stronger, so that we can progress in the devotional service. The knowledge is just the first step in going towards the devotional service. So just acquiring knowledge is not sufficient. The goal is to go to that pure devotional service. Because with knowledge, we just develop faith, and slowly we start understanding the value of this knowledge. We start applying it in our life. We start cleansing or purifying our senses and body, purification with Krishna consciousness, right? And then devotee can constantly associate with Lord, see the Lord, perceive the Lord in everything. But for that, one needs the surrender and the purification, the bhakti. Okay? So one has to surrender to the Supreme Lord to understand his mysteries. I'm going to share one last thing and then we'll stop. And this will, why surrender is needed. I'm just going to show that with very, very basic. So we know that sense objects are very low in our list of things, right? Sense objects are very low, right? Gulab jamun, whatever, is very low. Then higher than sense objects is sense organs, right? We agree, or our gross body. Our body is higher than the sense objects, right? we agree that our subtle body, which is mind, ego, and intelligence, subtle body, mind, ego, and intelligence, is higher than our gross body, right? We know that. We know that our subtle body should keep a control on the gross body, right? And then gross body can control how much sense objects we come in contact with. And how do we control our subtle body? Our soul. Our soul should be nourished with Krishna consciousness, right? To control our subtle body, right? Soul is higher than the subtle body, right? We know that. And who's the other person we now understood is residing in our heart, in our body? Dehe asmin purusha para. Who's that person? The super soul or the Paramatma. So the soul should control subtle body should control the gross body should control the sense objects, and who should control the soul? The super soul. So one has to surrender to the super soul so that the rest of the things can happen. So that is just a very basic understanding of why one needs to surrender, because we always have to surrender to the higher authority. So if super soul is residing within us, then we have to surrender to the super soul. That's all I wanted to share. Okay, please ask any questions, realizations, understandings, anything you want to share, any stories, analogies. Everybody is clear, I think. Yes, we'll move on to chanting. Okay, okay, thank you so much. Okay, let's chant one round very quick. Is that okay? If any doubts, please you can put on the group, because we are running late.